All right, now before we finish this section, let's quickly review the code in products component. So products component.ts. So earlier in the course, when we created this component, we implemented the onDestroy interface. We defined this subscription field, and in ng-on-init, we initialized our shopping cart like this. I realized we can simplify this code, so we can store an actual observable here, pass that to the template, and unwrap it with the async pipe. So let's clean up this code. First, I'm going to remove the onDestroy interface, which means we should delete ng-on-destroy. Okay, now we no longer need this subscription. I'm going to rename cart to cart dollar and set its type to observable of shopping cart, properly typed. Also in ng-on-init, we don't need to subscribe to this observable anymore. So we can simply set this.cart to the observable we get from our service, like this. Much cleaner, right? Also, I don't quite like that some part of initialization is done in ng-on-init, the other part is done in the constructor. So I would rather to move all the initialization code inside ng-on-init. So I'm gonna select all the code in the constructor, cut, and move it here. Now with this, we need to apply the private modifier on these parameters. So private, and call them using this. Okay, the compilation errors are gone. However, I'm still not happy with this implementation. This method is too bulky or too fat for my personal taste. Someone looking at this code, they have to read line by line to figure out what is happening. So the big picture is lost here. So let's refactor it step by step. Look at these 3 lines. All we are doing here is setting the filtered products. We're basically taking this category and applying it as a filter. So we can move these 3 lines inside a separate method. So I'm going to define a private method and call it apply filter. Now currently our filter includes only the category. In the future, we can have other filters. Okay, so let's move these few lines here and then call this.apply filter. Now this code is a little bit cleaner and more readable because we're reading the category from the route parameter, storing it as a field in this class, and then applying filter. Note that this method, apply filter, doesn't take any parameters. Again, this is the object-oriented way of doing things. So instead of sending arguments around, we are working with the fields in this class. So we've got category, we've got filtered products and products. Okay. So here's our ng-on-init. But again, I'm not 100% happy here because the intention is lost here. So we need to read all these few lines to figure out what is happening. So we go to product service, get all the products, store them here. Then we go to our route parameters, subscribe to that observable, get the category, and eventually apply the filter. So the big picture is lost. Another developer maintaining this code has to read this line by line. What is the purpose of all these few lines? It's populating the list of products. So we can extract that into a separate method called populate products. So private populate products. And now we can move all this code here like this. And then call it in ng-on-init. So this.populate products. Now you can clearly see the intention here. In ng-on-init, we are initializing the cart and also populating the products. Now, if someone is interested to know how products are populated, they can only look at this method. Okay, so keep your methods short, ideally between 5 to 10 lines of code. Now, one last thing I wanted to show you here is our shopping cart. So let me declare a variable of type shopping cart, x of type shopping cart. Look at the interface of this object. We have getQuantity method, which is very useful for quickly getting the quantity of a given product. We have items, which allows us to iterate over all the products in the shopping cart. But look at this items map. This field should not be here as part of the interface of this class, because this should be used only internally as part of implementing the getQuantity method, because this field allows us to quickly access a product in the shopping cart. Consumers of our shopping cart should not work directly with this field. If they need a quick way to look up a product in the shopping cart, we can give them a method like getItem or getProduct. So items map is about implementation detail and should not be exposed to the outside. So I'm going to go to the shopping cart class, make this field private, and simplify the interface of our shopping cart class. So let's go to shopping cart. We have declared this field here, so I'm going to change public to private. Now back in our products component, look at the interface of our shopping cart. We only have what is absolutely necessary to expose to the outside. So let's delete this code. And one last thing before we finish this lecture. So now that we have an observable here, we need to modify our template and unwrap this using the async pipe. So let's go to products, component.html. So this is where we're using our shopping cart. We're passing it as an input property to this product cart. Now we don't want to unwrap it here because this is part of a loop. So we want to wrap it once on top of the page and then pass the same shopping cart object to every product cart. Okay. So on this div with the class row, I'm going to apply ngIf get the cart observable, unwrap it with the async pipe, and store it in cart. Now let's test the application and make sure we have not broken anything with this refactoring. So here on the home page, we have the list of products. We can see the quantity of each product in the shopping cart. Beautiful. We can change category. Everything works. We can refresh the page and see the same result. Perfect. So we're done with this refactoring, and this brings us to the end of this section. In the next section, we're going to implement the checkout process. I hope you enjoyed this section, and thank you for watching.